Welcome back.
How's it going?
So far, so good. How are you?
I'm good.
So this is Josh Morgan.
And this is Vicky Morgan.
There you go. We got it down pat. Nice rhythm going there.
I'm a little curious. What's going on with the headphones?
Well, as you know, I'm a big fan of Nate Bargatze.
I feel like I've heard that name before.
Yeah. And, apparently in our last podcast, I mentioned him 11 times. You know how I know that? I'm leading into the headphones. I'll tell you about the headphones. But this is germane to the story. So last podcast, we did our first episode of Are You Mad at Me? And I did the transcript. And, of course, we have a great subscription with Adobe. We use Premiere and Audition.
The Adobe suite.
Yeah, it turns out you can get an affiliate link. You can become an Adobe affiliate, and you can provide codes to your listeners so they can get the suite for a discount. So that's great. I did not sign up. I'm on a tangent here, but I did also did not sign up for the Buy Me a Coffee thing because I don't remember, but I know it was no, that's not for us. So no, I said in the last one you could do the Buy Me a Coffee thing. We didn't sign up for that, so if you couldn't find a link in the description,
that's why.
That's why.
That's probably
but
why.
We did find a whole bunch of other stuff that we might end up doing. I've been doing a lot of research. But anyway, I've been catching up on Nate I'm trying to recreate how he says it. Bargatze. He says Bargatze. He says Nate Bargatze.
Right.
So I've been catching up, and he's got probably 228 or 29 episodes now. But I started at the beginning, and I am loving every
You're trying
episode.
real hard to catch up. You are getting
love it. Now it's a little bit of OCD involved. I don't want to catch up where we are now because someone in one of the comments on one of the newer episodes said I started the podcast and I started from the beginning, and it's so nice to see you achieve all the things that you talk about on the podcast. I'm like, well, I got to know what they're talking about.
Everything that's being achieved, and yeah.
Well, that he says stuff, and it is fascinating because I'm only 25. I'm into their first Christmas episode. So I'm about 26 episodes in, and it is great to see him talk about what he's going to call the specials, where he's touring, and it was during pandemic times, so a lot of stuff was getting shut down, and they were just so easygoing in such a hard time. And he talks a lot about how comedy thrives during bad times, and I would say right now we might be heading into kind of a tricky few years or whatever, so I think this is a time for us to thrive. But anyway,
why would you possibly say that? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but keeping it light and airy, light and breezy. But anyway,
we will say that we live in Canada.
Yes, but we are also American and planning on traveling quite a bit in the U.S. for the next few years, and so it's a factor. But anyway, back to your headphone question.
Yes, why are you wearing headphones? We were not wearing headphones in the last episode.
I know, but Nate Bargatze wears them. And someone said, "Why are you wearing the headphones?" And he said, "I think it looks really cool. These aren't even plugged in."
I was going to say, I'm running the audio over here, and you're not connected to anything.
Well, I think they look really cool, and so Nate Bargatze is my go-to. I don't know, it's kind of funny because he's been doing these podcasts for 4 years, and I love all of his stuff.
I'm going to have to look this guy up and see who you're talking about.
He's pretty funny. He's pretty sweet, and he's just hilarious. And there was an episode where his wife and his little girl were on, and man, I just. They're so sweet. They're so supportive and so wonderful. And just nice to see that kind of a family dynamic.
This is officially a plug for the
Nate Land podcast. But I'll tell you, in the last episode,
wherever you listen to your podcast.
Apparently, I mentioned him about 11 times in the last one, and I don't know if I'm not pronouncing his name properly or if Adobe transcription service just doesn't recognize. And so it was a host of. There was 11 different misspellings and just bizarre combinations of words every time I said his name.
Just an AI trying to figure out.
It was
what you're saying.
My neighbor who's sick, Nate SpaghettiOs. I'm not joking. It was.
We've had some pretty funny experiences with the AI transcription on Adobe Premiere because it tries to recognize human speech based on whatever dictionary it uses, I guess.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's if somebody's not speaking, enunciating perfectly clearly, or if there's an older person with an accent or whatever, it's like
I think you should be able to put in regional transcription, and there should be a guidebook of some sort that says this is how Newfoundlanders speak.
Where is the person that you're transcribing from?
Well, yes, and then so we're coming from. I'm of course from Newfoundland, and I feel like I've done a lot of radio over the years and a lot of performance and stuff. So I don't sound like. Do you? I mean, you've been here now for a few years. Do I sound like the people you hear around Newfoundland?
No, there's some accents.
Do I have one?
It comes out every now and then in certain ways, in certain words, but
with certain people probably.
With certain people, but it's
when
not.
In Rome,
it's not a norm. Not
Rome is not in Newfoundland, but If it was, they would have an accent, I'm sure. And your accent, I don't hear it anymore. Maybe it's been a long time, but of course Josh is from North Carolina. And at first, your accent was real thick. So even earlier tonight, we were at your school, and the boys were saying, "Hey, Dad, do you have a locker?" And I just remember our first month together, you were trying to find your passport to come to Canada, and you said, "Oh, I think it's in my locker at work. It's a real mess." And I was just, see, I was just like, "Oh, flutter," because he was so attractive.
He was so attractive back then. 18 years.
So we had some great feedback on the first episode.
Yeah, we got some comments. So we're gonna do the thing where we're
gonna follow the model of Nate Bargatze.
We read comments.
I'm 26 episodes in, and I am digging it. I absolutely love it.
And Spotify has a new comment feature where you can comment right on.
Yeah, and you can rate a podcast, which also helps boost all the findability and letting people find out what we're doing. So, and again, I'm going to go back to this again because this is a labor of love, or what is it, necessity? Did you get a car that I don't know about?
We have not yet received a car.
We did walk past the Mercedes
tonight.
lot tonight.
So tonight
we went on a little adventure.
Here's our adventure from tonight. I was working on a video for a client. And I noticed, my laptop battery is getting a little low. I'm going to plug it in. I always plug it in. I don't know why it wasn't. So I went into my backpack because the last time I used my computer was at school yesterday. And my power cord wasn't in there. I was like, I haven't touched my backpack since school when I walked home from school, which I found out yesterday is 5 kilometers. So that's pretty good.
That doesn't sound that bad.
It's an hour walk.
I'm upstairs in our little place, and I'm working on my notebook, and Josh comes in and says, "Want to go on a little adventure?" And I know
this is like 8:00 tonight.
Yeah.
So it's like school's closed. It's Friday night.
Beating down rain all day, like it
pouring.
Is miserable out. And I was like, so between the sound coming in from the window and the sound coming from my husband, I don't know which one was scarier.
So it's 8:00 at night. The school's closed.
It's across town.
It's 5 kilometers away. We don't have a car still. I could walk, but it's kind of chilly. It's been rainy. So we're like, what are we gonna do? Let's make it an adventure. And
the kids were great. They were up for whatever.
The kids are always up for an adventure.
Like, there's a point where we were walking back through our neighborhood, and I was like, this isn't getting better. Like, I'm really struggling to be like, we're just real cool, flaky, hippie artists, and, money's going to come and go. And it's like, today was like, by the end, walking up the hill we live on was like, I could really use a car. A car would be nice. But
so we did when we decided to have this adventure, we walked down to the bus stop, which is a 15-minute walk.
Down a hill.
Got on the bus, which is always fun for the kids. Rode over to the school. It was like 9:00 at this point. Security was there.
It was lovely.
Super
CNA,
nice.
Security was super lovely and super helpful.
They let us in the building, let us in the classroom. I got my charger. All good. And then we decided, let's keep this adventure going. Let's go get some dinner. Denny's is
open all night,
which we've been to Denny's at 4 in the morning.
Not a lot of places that'll have kids in after 8:00, which is problematic for people that live on our schedule. So but shout out to Denny's. Denny's on a Friday night.
Yeah, it was pretty great. So we decided to get an Uber for the first time. You got an Uber once before, but it's pretty new to our province, so we haven't done that before. So all 4 of us, 2 kids and 2 adults, piled into this poor guy's Uber.
Ironically, the exact same make of our car, which is sitting in our driveway, unmovable.
Yeah.
But it was a really new model.
A much newer
and we were
model.
Like, this is so nice.
Imagine.
Just the fact that there was heat and, stuff that worked, and there wasn't a weird smell coming from it. It didn't overheat once in the 5-kilometer drive.
So we took an Uber from the school to Denny's, and then after dinner, we walked home, which is another maybe 3 or 4 kilometers. But we did walk past McDonald's. The kids got some dessert at McDonald's. We got some McFlurries. Came home. What was the purpose of all this? Why
just that it's an adventure. It was an adventure. But we did walk by the Mercedes dealership.
Yes.
And for the low price, I don't know if people know this, but for the low price of between $70,000 and $89,000,
I think the lowest price we saw on a windshield at the new Mercedes dealership was $52,000, and the highest one was $98,000.
Yeah, one of them was a van with no windows, and the boys were like, "That's a moving van. Why is that so expensive?" Like, no, honey,
you move with that once, and then you're done with it.
But we did go by U-Haul. Did you know you can get like a U-Haul for $20 a day?
Yeah,
you can still do
get
that.
A pickup truck.
But also here's something I'm discovering because the car is no longer with us. R.I.P. car.
RIP.
Yeah. We're discovering a whole new world. I'm a little sooky today. Sooky in Newfoundland means not like the True Blood version of the word. Not like Sookie Stackhouse. Sookie is a little more like pitying myself. Oh, it's almost Christmas and it's miserable outside.
Feelings. It means lots of feelings.
Lots of feelings. Little kid feelings, really, like Sookie feelings.
Yeah.
What's my point? So what I am discovering since the car went kaput is you can have a whole lot of stuff delivered right to your door. Instacart, our new best friend, is amazing. You can, as long as you order, so they had a special on the other day. So we got free deliveries for the next 12 months. For $20. Free
this
deliveries.
Is not a sponsored endorsement.
Not at all.
Of Instacart.
We just
like
discovered it because we don't have a car. So it was like, well, how are we going to get groceries? Because we have 3 dogs and we have many, many children. Actually, there's not that many. They just seem like they eat a lot.
So many children.
Yeah. So we were like, well, what are we going to do? And so we sat around and we're like, well, I don't know. Is there any checks left that we haven't cashed for $10,000 or $15,000 lying around that I don't know about? There's not. So Instacart. So if you order like more than $10 from a grocery store, and luckily we do live in the city.
Yeah, that helps.
So man, Instacart has been our best friend. It has been incredible. And I had a meeting last week that I had to get to, and it was across town. So I got an Uber for the very first time. I was terrified. Terrified.
It's different from getting a cab because like traditionally here cabs are like surly old Newfoundland men and they're just like, yeah, where you going? Yeah, all right. And they're smoking while you're driving. And
okay, that's an exaggeration. They do open the window while they're smoking, which is problematic in November.
It's not exaggeration. They do smoke. They just open the window.
They do. I mean, they're not animals. But what I don't like about cabs. First of all, the service over the last few years has gone downhill. I remember a few years back, probably around Christmas time again, when our car broke down and we were down at our favorite garage, Kingsbridge Service Station. Also, not an endorsement or a
but hey, if they're listening, come on.
But they're fantastic, and they're known as the women-friendly garage because they don't scam you and they don't tell you 15 things that are wrong that you don't really need to get fixed. So big shout out. They've been so good to me my entire driving existence. Yeah. So we're down at that was real far across. It's like on the other side of town.
Yeah.
Like down by the Johnny and Mays truck, that far away. Also not a sponsor. But I remember calling the cab and remember they wouldn't send one because we had the kids with us and they wouldn't send a vehicle with 4 seats.
I think we called and they said, yep, on the way. And we were there for like an hour. We're like, where's our cab? And they were like, you called for a cab?
And this is back in the day, where cell phones were real popular and they could see your number. So they could call back and say, we didn't send a cab. They just didn't show up. So we called a different company. They were surly. Years ago, it used to be Jiffy Cabs and they'd boom, another one on the ramp at the village, say that's the accent. And there would be a cab there almost instantly. There'd almost be 2 cabs showing up to fight for you. Yeah. Sometimes they would just get out and fight. But the service over the last few years has gone very much downhill. You order now on the app, which I don't like at all.
Not a fan. Which is ironic because we love Uber.
Because Uber has it smoothed out. And what I did figure out when I was looking around when we were getting ready to release our podcast last week, what I did find out is that now because we have Uber on our phones and Instacart, there's a friend code. So if you haven't tried it yet, because it is brand new. Instacart's been around since the pandemic, but Uber's brand new and it is efficient and they don't talk to you. It's amazing. So that was the thing. The other thing I didn't like about cabs was that, God love them. It's great for tourists, but I don't want to talk. I have no interest in small talk.
Years ago when we first got together, so probably 17, 18 years ago, we got in a cab and the guy told this real homophobic joke and it was like, what's happening?
I don't know if people find that charming.
Like, hey, you want a joke? And it was like one of those guys that the tourists want to ride around, get like showing around town. And it was like, you're telling jokes like this to, anyway, you don't know us.
The best of the best. We were somewhere just the other day and someone did that too. Someone came up to our table. Do you remember that? Was that the farmer's market? There was somewhere where some older gentleman just stopped and just started telling us like the worst kind of jokes. And we were like, haha, okay. Which is especially problematic as a comedian now. I find that hurtful and like try harder.
You find this offensive as a member of the LGBT community?
No, not at all. As a comedian. That's a fact. That's a fact. But anyway, I do find Uber to be absolutely like they It's
It was
friendly.
nice. It was nice tonight, and the boys really enjoyed it.
But there's no interaction. There's no exchange of money. The tip system, it's just you put it on the app. So I'm big shout out for Uber in Newfoundland. I'm a big fan. I was very nervous about it at first, but a big fan. Not only does it tell you for safety reasons, because I used to be, I taught self-defense for women for many, many years, and a couple of things. You put your route in advance. You can share your location with the press of not even a button. It's just swipe on your screen. You can share your location with somebody, and there's no. It doesn't matter how they get you there. You get a flat rate. They tell you exactly how much it's going to be. That's how much you pay.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm going to take the scenic route. I'm going to do what I know. Like, there's none of that.
We're not sure how long this
shenanigans.
is going to take.
And also, there's a record that you're in the car. So there's no such thing as, here's my business card, call me later, wink, wink, and I'll get you there for a rate. There's none of that stuff. So the safety part of it is checks all the boxes for me. Yeah. Absolutely checks the boxes. In fact, one of the Ubers that I was in last week had a dash cam, and it had a rear view. It was showing me in the back seat. So I pretended that I was checking my teeth in my phone. Like I was pretending to take a selfie just to see if there's anything in my teeth. And I snapped a picture because I wanted a picture of me on the, because it was impressive.
Yeah, it's still a new thing.
That's some good safety. So it's, it really records everything. And again, not an endorsement, but I know there's something that keeps popping up on my phone saying, here's a friend code. So we'll provide a friend code just in case you want to try it. If you already have Uber in your town, great, good for you. But Newfoundland, it's brand new.
Thing, yeah.
And I'm hoping it'll be like all around Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Because apps are everywhere. So I'm hoping that we can go to like St. Anthony and go, you know what, this dinner at Nan's isn't going great. I'm going to hop in an Uber at 4 o'clock in the morning and go over to Cletus's instead.
I would imagine it's probably already out around the bay. Like people are probably
I would assume if it's allowed in the province.
There's probably like one guy in every bay community is like, I'm an Uber. And he just is going around by himself.
Now, I don't know where it comes in with like, if they've been drinking. Like, I don't know what kind of safety there is involved in
probably
that part
none,
of it.
But that's the same as any
like
other
they
driver.
could be high or drinking. And of course, cabs, how do you know any of that stuff? How do you know that the bus drivers aren't hammered? I don't know. But as far as safety, as far as getting to your destination, and there's a record of it. Anyway, that's all I got to say.
That was our
about
adventure
Uber.
tonight. We got in an Uber, all
and the
four
boys
of
loved
us
it.
for the first time.
Yeah.
And the guy was super nice. And yeah.
It was a clean car. It wasn't like on TV. There wasn't gum. There wasn't like bottles of water.
Yeah, I totally expected him to be like,
that.
we got water in the back, phone chargers.
And thankfully, he didn't ask us anything like,
so
where are you going?
Perfect.
It was pretty nice.
Now listen, we started saying we were going to do some comments. Comments.
But so your comment to me was, what's with the headphones? And that's your answer. That's where we ended up in an Uber, getting some groceries delivered
17
to
minutes
the Uber.
in. That's our answer for...
We should probably cut some of that because it really sounds like an endorsement, not a sponsor. But we will put the friend code in the description. Yeah. And right back, before I forget to, I don't know if this is helpful to anybody that's thinking about starting a podcast, but I am going to share our journey. We have done a podcast in years past, and
we started a radio show. And our first episode was March 17th of 2020. So literally the next day, they called us and were like, yeah, you know that radio show you just started? Station's shut down now. COVID shut down everything. So we wanted to keep it going, so we started doing the radio show from our basement.
Yeah.
Here.
So we would record.
And then we started interviewing people on Zoom. Yeah.
We were sending it to the radio station, so there was a lot of editing involved, and there was a lot of like 20 minutes in, you had to put in a commercial and a station ID.
Yeah.
You had to put in a local PSA, and so that's not really...
But we started doing it as a podcast also. We were doing the radio show and distributing it as a podcast, but this is straight up just...
really didn't know what we were doing back then. And we've had a few people come to us over the last couple of years asking us to produce podcasts, and we've done that for other people, and it just seemed like we should probably try it. So what I'm trying to figure out is how to do what we love to do and maybe make a living at it.
Yeah.
Because
people make a living at this.
I mean, Ubers are great. And I don't know if I even want another car at this point, but we are very interested in taking the show on the road eventually and doing maybe some guests. We had a couple people get in touch wanting to be on the show. So I don't know where it's going to go, but coming back to, so I did some research. So you tell me about the comments, and then I'm going to tell you about the research about stuff I found out about podcast hosting and all the things that go along with it, just in case there's anybody listening that's like wondering how
are they doing this magic that they're doing right now?
Yeah.
Because it's beautiful and magical. How are they doing it? That's what people are saying.
Yeah, that is in the ether out there.
So we had some comments on Spotify and on Facebook. And,
thank you for all of that, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for everybody that's listening and commenting. And
yeah, we love it. We appreciate it.
So Tanner Rich. There's an E at the end, so it was a little tricky.
Tanner Rich.
Rich.
We love Tanner.
He
Big
wrote
fan.
in and said, I wanted to congratulate you on your new podcast venture. I just listened to episode 1 while I was working and loved every second. I could listen to you guys talk forever. I'll be keeping an eye open for updates. Awesome show.
It's amazing.
So that's really
Tanner.
nice to hear.
We love Tanner. And so he's awesome.
He's an author, right?
He's an author, and if I'm not mistaken, I think there might be, I think he started a show, if I'm not mistaken. So he does a really great comic strip called Tanner and Casey. Is it Casey? Can you look that up?
Let's look it up.
Just so I don't get it wrong. But he's a what do you call people that draw cartoons? Cartoonist? Cartoonist, yeah, I know. Big word. He's brilliant. Brilliant writer, brilliant.
Tanner and Casey, that's right.
Tanner and Casey. It's fantastic. I think it was...
There's TannerandCasey.com right there.
Yeah, so go check that out. We love Tanner. And
120
Tanner, I'm
page.
happy that you're on board with the podcast. And, maybe one of these days, whether we're in your province or if we do something over Zoom, we'd love to have you on and talk about it, because the whole premise is, why do we call it Are You Mad at Me? Do you know that? Where did that come from?
Well, we were talking about just the idea of how you feel when you're trying to figure out what other people are thinking, right? Like when you have a relationship with somebody and you're like, you say something to them, or they haven't responded to you on Messenger or texted you back, or maybe haven't answered the past couple calls, and you're like, obviously they're mad at me. Are you mad at me? What's wrong? What's happening?
I don't know if it's an artist thing, but I spend most of my time feeling like most of people are mad at me.
Obviously, everybody's mad at me.
And, okay, which leads me to something I wanted to talk about on the podcast today, if it's okay with you, if you'll indulge me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a bit sooky. I get that. Like, I'm extra sooky because it's Christmas and the lights are up and, there's a little bit of Christmas music on the radio and stuff. And I've been feeling a little bit like pitying myself. And I'm going to go back to our pal. He's not our pal yet, but one of these days, maybe when I go perform at Zany's one of these days in Nashville, maybe we'll meet and we'll become friends and it's going to be great. But he said something on, like, I'm going to say episode 22 or 23. It was wasn't recent. It was 4 years ago.
You've recently watched it.
I have recently watched it. And he said something about when people are traveling, like as comedians, and they're first starting out and all those things. Like, as you progress and things start to get a little bit better and you're getting, like, flown places to perform and all those things, he said everybody feels like they're getting slighted. Like, you remember George Costanza in Seinfeld when he was like, I bet Ted Danson gets a better plane. Well, so Nate was talking about...
They had a private jet, and he was like, it's nice, but I bet Ted Danson's is nicer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely... You really should go check out the Nateland podcast, because it is absolutely hilarious. And so he tells this really gross story about people that he knew that got a private jet. And so he said, the quote that I took from it was, everybody feels like they're getting slighted. The problem, like, you feel like you're the only person getting slighted, and everybody's being slighted. That's the magic. The magic secret sauce, or whatever you want. The magic formula is, you feel like you're on your own, and you feel like you're being slighted, and you feel like the world's against you sometimes. Everybody feels like that. So it's not unique. It's like, I don't know if that makes people feel better, or it helped me.
It helps to know that other people feel the same way, and they're not like, ha ha.
Anyway, where was I?
More comments?
More comments. What do you got? Are there more?
Oh, there's tons more. Let's see here. Our friend Blaine, who we talked about last week.
Yes.
Blaine and
Tennessee.
Kim and their daughter Maddie, who live down
we're on the way. I don't know when we're going to get there,
in
but
Tennessee.
We're coming.
They live in close to Nashville.
Would it be weird if we Google mapped how far they are from Zany's?
No, we can do that at a later point in the show for sure.
Okay.
But yes, Blaine said thanks for the shout out, because we did mention them last week as good, solid, supportive family members.
They have bought every book. They've bought all the music. They follow all the podcasts. When we were doing the radio show and the live streams and stuff, they are Kim and Blaine have been fantastic. So thanks again to them for being awesome. And I know if we lived near them, we would be spending Christmas together, no question.
Yes, and
having them over.
Somebody that would immediately be like, where's the podcast? Where can I listen to it?
Absolutely.
And listen to it the same day and make a comment. And
we actually do have lots of friends like that. We've traveled around mostly on the eastern coast of North America, and we have a lot of friends. We have some over on the west coast also, and somewhere in the middles. Some people in the middle of the countries. So our fan base, or our people that really love what we're doing, are kind of spread out. But we came back, of course, to Newfoundland, where I'm from. And, I think what I figured out is I think everybody's having a tough time. I don't think it's specifically anyone's mad at me or mad at you. I think people are just really struggling to pay for groceries. Everybody's got their own stuff going on. So it's really, People have their own stuff. It probably has very little to do with me. Now, if you're a person that's listening to this podcast and go, no, Vicky, it's very specifically about you. You're an arsehole. Well, I mean,
what are you going to do?
Catch me outside. That's what I says.
They are an hour away from Zanies.
Are you serious?
So, 52 minutes if you take the highway.
We're going to have to walk probably or get an Uber.
Yeah,
we'll probably
we're not going to take our car down.
Is it
there
really
anymore.
just an hour away?
An hour away, yeah. They live pretty close to Nashville.
So I did see a few things because Brian Bates does a bunch of stuff there, and I've been started following all the boys from the podcast because they're really, really good, friendly, like funny guys. I don't know if they're friendly. They might not be.
They seem friendly.
They seem friendly on the podcast.
Sure.
But I started following them, and so Brian Bates mentioned something about an open mic that goes on at Zany. So I don't know how good you need to be to get on the open mic, but I'm working on it.
We'll show up and get in line.
Yeah, maybe it's like The Price is Right. Maybe if you wait in line long enough, they'll just let you in. Maybe if there's, I don't know.
We watch a lot of classic Price is Right because we get that free channel that shows it all
Blaine
day.
was on The Price is Right.
Blaine was on The Price is Right. Well,
Right?
there's somebody,
It's all
a friend
connected.
here it's another comedian here in town was on The Price is Right, and he did the what was it called, the race game where you have to put the 4 prices on the 4 items and you have to get them in, and he did it 1 2 3 4, came back and hit the button, had all 4 right. It was like 10 seconds.
A
It was
comedian
crazy.
that lives here in town?
Yeah, we did a stand-up comedy workshop together 5 years ago or whatever, and yeah.
And he'd have trouble shipping it back to Canada?
I have no idea.
I just
realized
realized that when you're wearing headphones and they're properly being used, you can hear what the person is saying. But I realized
You
this
can't
is
hear anything I'm
kind
saying.
of muffling what you're saying.
Those are also my nice noise canceling headphones.
Ah, yeah.
That
So should I
explains
take
it.
them off? Would that be like ruin continuity if I take them off?
We'll do a cut here, and then we'll
I don't know. They're kind of
come back here, and
Well, I
it's like,
can't
she
hear-
never had glasses.
I
She
can
had
hear
never
you
had headphones
better
on.
when they're off.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
it's probably
So
they're
should I,
probably good to have if you have them plugged in.
But they look so
if you're
cool.
using them properly.
What about those Air Force ones over there? Maybe I could use some of those. Can you get
those
those
are pretty
for me?
cool. My aircraft.
Would that be? Is that breaking the third wall or fourth wall or fifth? What is it? I know it's the fourth wall. I'm just kidding.
Classified security.
So this is back when Josh had a locker at work, and he wore these. Oh my! I can't hear
There's
anything.
a nice big heavy duty microphone on the side of it too. Those are for when you're in a C-130. You're like super loud and you can't hear anything.
When you were a pilot.
Back when I was a pilot, I was not a pilot.
I tell people you're a pilot.
But you can talk to everybody on the plane that's plugged in anywhere on the plane because C-130s are really big and
cool.
Yeah.
There you go. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'll also wear those next week. But I can hear you better now. But does it ruin the continuity if I take them off?
Oh, you can't hear anything with these.
What? Hey, Sparky.
So yeah, that was a nice comment from Blaine, and then we had a few people local that here in town or in Newfoundland that got in touch on Facebook. Erin O'Mara, photographer here in town, photographer to the stars. Erin. She said you're a treasure.
Oh, she's a treasure.
I think that was directed at you.
Well,
I don't even think I've ever had anyone call me a treasure.
I think if she said it to you, I'd be
worried.
We'd be fighting.
But there was also
we'd
4
have
purple
a fight.
hearts.
We'd have a fight if people were saying stuff like that about Josh. I mean, so thanks, Erin. I know it was meant for me.
You can talk about my skills as an audio engineer, my cool laptop stickers.
But a treasure?
Treasure, too far.
Yeah.
Over the line. Margaret Rose Connolly, your a family friend from years ago. Vicky and Josh, I just love your new podcast, my love.
Oh, I love it.
3 hearts.
She's amazing. She's the sweetest.
Lots and lots of hearts going around in the comments.
She's the sweetest. Thank you, Margaret Rose. And thank you, Erin. Thank you all the Blaine and...
Yes, Emily Gladys from Facebook. Haha, I love you too, LOL, laughing face. That's a lot of laughs.
I think she's trying too hard.
I
think she's trying real hard to make it sound like we were funny. I don't know if she heard the podcast.
I think she's just trying to make us feel better.
She's actually a brilliant musician, and so she's got a Facebook page set up. She's got a new album coming out, which we're really excited about. She didn't put that in the comment. That
was not part of the comments.
But she's amazing. Emily's amazing. Thank you, Emily.
Kim Hanlon said, "Oh, this is sure to be great." So now, I don't know if that means
where's the emphasis? Oh, this is sure to be great, or is it this is sure to be great? How does she mean that?
This is sure to be great.
This is sure to be great.
I don't know. I think to me that sounds like
sweet.
I'm not going to listen, but it's probably going to be good.
I think she'll listen.
You think she listened?
I don't know.
She'll comment. She'll comment next week and tell us, yes, I listened.
Do you hear that dog?
Yes, I hear the dog. It's like she doesn't know we're recording a podcast.
I said, "Hey, Peter, we're going to go down and record a podcast now. Are you okay with that?" And he goes, "Yeah, of course, Mom. What am I going to say? No, you can't.
No, you can't record a podcast.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't even know what she's barking. That's maybe. She's a psycho.
Do you want to be on the show?
2 years old, and she still acts like she's 2 months old.
It's like her first day. Hi,
an
sweetheart.
insane puppy.
Hi, sweetheart.
So yeah, really nice comments.
Yeah, thank you for all that. That all feels
and
absolutely
anybody
amazing.
wants to join in and leave comments, we'll answer any questions you have. And
feel free to ask questions. I don't know. What would you want to know? What do you think people would even ask?
You can ask, like, where'd you get that fantastic shirt?
That one? Josh made the shirt.
It's a selfless plug.
It says,
please be patient with me. I'm from the 1900s.
Thanks for reading that to me because I don't have my glasses on.
you didn't know I was wearing a shirt.
They're basically useless glasses, which we covered last week. But I'm not even bothering to wear them because I'm vain. And
Probably
I think
this podcast is about you. This is the part of the podcast where we sing songs from the 70s. You're so vain.
They say our love won't. Oh, I even got my hair straightened for this. Ready for this?
It's share time. Now the people that are listening to the audio aren't going to be able to see your impression of Cher.
Hold on. They say our love won't pay. I can't do that,
good.
buddy.
That's pretty good.
Anyway, babe.
I'm just going to see what she's barking at.
It's a good idea. It could be, someone dropping off Instacart. Did we order any? No, it's too late for Instacart. Oh, it's only 3 p.m. though, so just here by myself now. So we're going to cut this out after, I'm sure. What's she barking at? Creeps me out. Actually, it is very late in our basement, and if she's over barking at something.
So the funny thing is, Daisy, the other girl dog that we have, was in there chewing stuff up, and maybe was barking at her like she was telling on her. Like she was standing in front of her just barking at her like, guys, can anybody see this? I'm not allowed to chew stuff up. Why is she?
Daisy's the clever one, and
she's sneaky.
She's my fave, but she's very, very crafty, and she has skills like to get up on counters and bend and contort her body in ways that I don't even understand. But she is. I can't be mad at her.
She's very sweet, but she's so very sneaky.
Very, very smart. Crafty. I'd call it crafty.
Yeah. Listen, I thought we could talk about some stuff that's happening, local stuff.
Well, I'm out of stuff. I wanted to talk about the Nate Bargatze's name being mangled on Adobe.
Right, yeah, we did.
And the headphones, which I thought were a great addition, but I can't hear you. And then the list of people that are probably
Your
mad
list
at
of
me.
grievances. We'll save that for
when we put up the Festivus poll.
Yeah. This is the way all of you people have wronged
Should I
me.
use this as a platform to apologize to all those people?
Nah. Well, what do we got here?
This is the problem. I would go watch some Christmas movies and go, oh, I probably shouldn't have done those things or said those things or made those jokes. And should I apologize? And Josh, bad influence. So anyway, I'm not fighting you on it. I don't want to apologize to anybody.
Come on, please let me apologize.
I thought they were funny jokes. Really, I thought I had some pretty good sets, but whatever.
Working it out on stage. That's what comedians do.
Working it out.
Listen, there's a thing in the news. This guy.
On the Barry Gibb talk show.
This guy was I don't know if he was arrested. 38 years old. He is facing a bunch of charges, including 16 driving suspensions.
Mm-hmm. Should read. Which should read, in a rational, sensible world, 2 driving charges or 1 driving charge.
He was suspended once, found the second time, and he doesn't drive anymore.
14 more. 2 was a lot.
14. They were like, listen, I think there was a police officer at one point that was like, this guy's got 13 driving suspensions. I'm suspending this again. This is not going to stand.
Letter of the law, like nail him to the wall. Let's charge him. Let's put it. What is it? So what is he being charged with now?
Multiple driving suspensions, $6,000 of debt to the Crown, which is just the government.
Because we're still part of England.
Because this is Canada. Sorry, folks down south. Facing several counts of theft, under $5,000, stolen property, multiple. So this guy he wasn't just a bad driver. He had some other stuff going on. But I thought it was pretty funny that he got up to 16 suspensions before they were like, okay.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't that be 1 suspension and then canceled license? I don't know. Anyway.
They did take his vehicle, impounded it, issued him some more tickets, and he was taken to the lockup. So he was arrested.
Yeah. That'll teach him. Anyway.
This dog is still running around like she's trying to knock all our stuff over again. 16 driving suspensions.
So are they impaired driving or just driving while suspended?
So it doesn't say anything about impaired driving.
Okay, so I mean, he could be an Uber driver. As long as you don't have a record of impaired
Maybe
driving.
he had 16 driver's licenses, and he just kept giving them a different one every time.
Maybe.
But have you tried this one?
I don't have any suspensions on this one yet. It's like going through a stack of credit cards and going, I think I got some on this one, and maybe you can put a little bit on that one.
So we're not driving right now because our car's out of service, but we could have, it could be worse. We could have 16 driver's suspensions. Could be headed to the lockup tonight.
Well, they'll drive you down there for no charge at all.
There was another story here of a family here in town that got some decorations stolen out of their yard. So I thought it was funny. I mean, it's not funny that somebody's stealing decorations, but it's a giant, like, life-size light-up mermaid and a big life-size light-up unicorn.
There was a lobster at the
Yeah,
birth
exactly.
of Jesus? Okay.
This is he says 6 foot tall mermaid.
It's like stealing a Mona Lisa. Where are you going to put it?
Exactly. What do they do? Like, that's
put
just stealing for spite. Like, are you keeping it in your basement? Because it's not like somebody.
Well, they took it, though. They didn't, like, stab it. They didn't, like, make it deflate.
I'm sorry. It's not inflatable.
What?
These are solid, hard. These are like metal frames with lights around them.
Oh, no, they're not.
These are not inflatable.
How do you get that out of somebody's yard?
Well, it says right here.
Wait, is our trailer still outside? We have a trailer.
Somebody maybe took our trailer to
Yeah. I wonder if they took a trailer.
They used a pickup truck to make off with them because they're so big. It says 6 feet tall each, bolted down with rebar, driven a couple feet into the ground, secured with industrial strength zip ties.
Are you making this up?
This is on the news. I'm looking at it. He's asking the public to keep their eyes open for the thieves to bring them back. I think just look on Facebook Marketplace for a 6 foot light up solid mermaid.
What if we go to the Santa Claus parade this weekend?
It's on a float.
Parade? What do?
We just needed our float finished.
What is that called? Like, do you call 911? They're not going to care. Hey, there's a unicorn on water. They're not going to care.
There's a light up unicorn. It's right there.
I'm looking at some.
It's going down the road
at about 4 miles per hour, kilometers per hour.
Yeah, we are in the metric system here. Yeah. So I mean, I thought it was funny because it's not like those old classic Santa Claus, the plastic ones with the light inside that
I love those.
Everybody had in the 80s.
Yep.
Or like the snowman. It's like the frosted plastic. Like, everybody has those. You steal that out of somebody's yard, then you put it in your yard. Nobody cares. Like, I'm not condoning stealing Christmas decorations. No. And these aren't really even Christmas decorations.
I had a cousin years ago. People were stealing the bulbs. Now, this was before LED lights that were like,
real hard to get out.
But these were like the
real hard to steal.
These were C7s and C9s, and somebody was literally stealing the bulbs. She had them, stapled to the outside of her house, and people were stealing her bulbs.
Not the lines, not the
whole line. Just taking bulbs out of her that were on her house.
That's just spiteful. That's one of those things where
or is
you take out a light
or is
and
it a sense of humor? Is it like, this will be funny?
Yeah, exactly.
Like maybe someone had a crush on her and they were just letting her know.
Is that
like
just stealing for spite? The same as these guys. Like what?
Boredom.
Because
you're not going to sell it. Where are you going to sell a 16-foot?
I bet there's a pond somewhere in town with
just a mermaid sticking up on it.
A mermaid. Hey, there's a mermaid. Oh, that's a light up Christmas decoration. Yeah.
Yeah. Fun. Listen, anytime you're ready, I have my list of people that are mad at me. You just let me know if you want me to dive into that.
I think it's good to have that on call. Have that on deck when you need it.
Yeah. The beautiful thing is Christmas is around the corner. We have beautiful, healthy kids.
All of our decorations are safely in our basement.
We're not even putting them up probably till
not
a couple
after this.
weeks.
Not after this news.
Well, we got to keep everything safe. So we'll just. There's no point in having them in the basement all the time.
Now we did put up.
Or we just put them up on the podcast.
Put them up right now. We did put up the Christmas tree. We did put up our Christmas tree a couple nights ago, and had the record player going with Charlie Pride and Bing Crosby singing Christmas music. This is a lot. It's just a lot.
Here we go. Oh, there's 2 Santas. That's
all the
confusing.
Santas. We got all the
Santas.
So
if you're just listening to the podcast, you can go on and check us out on YouTube and see the decorations I just put up.
Wait, hang on a second now. You got this necklace.
Can I get some festive headphones? Is this going to be usable with the dog?
It's almost like our dogs don't care that we're recording a podcast. Just hear those sleigh bells ring-a-ling. So we're putting on our light-up necklaces now.
This is the safe way to do it.
This is a safe way to decorate. Nobody's stealing these decorations. And if you're not watching the video, you're really missing out because this is fantastic stuff.
Wasn't this the segment you wanted to be saying?
I thought it would be really funny to have a podcast.
A radio show. We want to do a radio show.
Radio show podcast is audio only and be like, have a puppeteer
or a
on
magician.
A magician, yeah. Or like an artist painting. Like, oh, you got to see this. I really wish you guys could see this.
I mean, I get what you're talking. I get the humor. I get why you find that funny.
It's happening right now.
If people are missing out on this, that's really sad.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic. So we're decorated for Christmas in the safety of our basement. Don't need to worry about any of those thieves coming and taking stuff. So anyway.
And the people that don't follow until the end of this podcast are going to totally miss out. Like,
you know what I love that I found out was about chapters. You can put chapters in a podcast. So when like
you can just skip ahead.
You can skip ahead or skip the whole thing if you want to. But anyway, there's
there will be a chapter that's called Vicky and Josh Decorate for Christmas.
Yeah. It's a good idea. A little sniffly there after walking in the rain tonight to go.
Listen, it was a drizzle. It was a mist.
It was a fine mist, and then when you're out in it for a long time, you get drenched. Satched, as we used to call it, which is short for saturated.
Nobody says satched.
We used to.
That sounds like lish.
Like coopy down. That's not a real word.
We made up a word lish. It was...
we didn't. Josh did, and he's trying to get it to... It's like...
trying to get it to take.
Fitch. It's like Fitch. He's trying to get that to catch on. It's just not. But I did promise at the top of the episode that I would talk about some of the research I've been doing on starting a podcast.
Should we leave the Christmas lights on while we're doing that? Because
I'm about to have a seizure.
Visually, it's distracting.
Yeah, it's brutal.
What if we turn the light? What if we turn the flashing off?
When stuff is in my... Okay.
Oh, you can change how it flashes.
Oh,
okay.
That's still not great.
Just keep pushing it. There you go.
So when stuff is in my periphery like that, I get really overwhelmed. And I wasn't like that when I was younger. But I find now as I get a little bit older, stuff like the glitter and the flashing is a little too much. Anyway, yeah. So back to podcasting. If I don't know if this is a tutorial type of podcast today, but I did some research.
I think we've been learning a lot.
Well, I thought we kind of knew it all before, and I even offered classes in podcasting. And the trick is to teach people who know less than you. So, that's kind of a fun thing because apparently at 47, I appeal to the older set. And, I know more than some people. And then there's this whole population of people under.
It is pretty funny to be where we are and be like, what are we doing with our lives? Sometimes we feel like, what are we even doing? We're not where we should be. And then it's like, younger people in their 20s or 30s even will be like, how are you doing this? Or how does that even work? Or you've got so much experience. And it's like, I guess we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And what chases me around is the things that I want to be doing are like, how do you make money at that? And so it feels a little selfish to be even considering doing anything that doesn't have a price tag attached to it. So what do you do for money? Like, I don't know. It shows up. I mean, we haven't starved to death yet. The kids are in, they've got a roof over their head. They're warm, minimal rats and mice and insects.
None in the house.
None in the house.
We do see some in the neighborhood occasionally, but I think that's just
we
nature.
name those
nature.
That's like basically living on a preserve.
Farfel.
What?
Fievel. What was
nature
the mouse's
preserve?
name? What was the mouse's name from?
Fievel.
Farvel.
Fievel goes west.
I thought it was Farfel.
No.
Farfel.
They're so Farfel.
Farfel. You were going to say something.
Oh, good Lord.
Please continue.
Yeah. I was saying that I've been doing some research. And so a couple of things. I don't know if everybody's got the same feed as I do on Instagram or wherever, all the social media, like all the platforms. But the stuff that I get is like a lot of self-help stuff, which, it's hard to not be insulted by that. But there's a whole lot of business advice. And so, the people who I'm going to call gurus, like Jenna Kutcher and Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. Like, I've done the courses and I've downloaded the stuff and I've done the whatever. I've listened to all of it. And I'm going to say they have helped a little, but I forget them as soon as I read them. That's the problem. And so what's coming into my newsfeed lately, and it's like, I'm trusting that, I don't know, it's answering a question that I've asked or something. But there's a lot of stuff in there about you don't need to know everything before you start. Like, that's a perfectionist kind of trait where it has to be perfect before you even start the thing. And I'm trying to not subscribe to that because you can, like, start as far as like launching a new business, you can learn as you go. So I know like there's a big thing with like logos, and I feel like you talk about this a lot with graphic design stuff. I've always felt like, well, I got to have the logo ready to go if I'm going to start a Facebook page, and that's just how I launch my business. And it's just that's not really I don't know.
It's easy to get caught up in the little details like that, and then
Yeah.
you never start the thing.
Yep.
Not you particularly,
No,
but
but
just
people in general,
and then you're like, well, I don't have a logo, or I need to know how I'm gonna do a specific thing, and we could just start.
I'm going to encourage people to go and do a Google search right now on Nate Bargatze's how does he say it?
Bargatze.
Nate Bargatze. Look up his chocolate milk bit, because he talks about bringing home chocolate milk, and he has a little thing with his fight with his wife, and he says that he wants to have chocolate milk around for when he works out, and he might start working out. And it's I'm catching up on the podcast, so I think he works out a lot now. But back in it was just a really
he looks great.
It was like a real poignant, oh yeah, that's right, that's what we do before we start anything. Is like, no, if I'm going to do Cricut stuff, for example, I need all the Cricut stuff. I need the heat press, and I need the mug press, and I need the hat press, and all the stuff. And it's
what if you're in the middle of a tutorial video and it's like, oh shoot, I don't have this type of vinyl.
And Jennifer Maker, I'm going to do a shout out. If you're learning anything about Cricut stuff, Jennifer Maker, not only does she have she has so many videos for free. You could sign up on her page. She has the most gentle marketing I've ever seen in my life. I'll get like an email newsletter from Jennifer Maker, and it'll say, now, no pressure. I'm going to offer this again. I'm just letting you know that I put some new stuff in my catalog. And it's all free stuff. Like you can download files that you can use in Cricut Design Space, which, you have to learn about if you're using Cricut, because it's a big learning curve. And people make it look so easy. Like, you go to a craft fair, and it's everywhere you go. It's Cricut stuff everywhere. And now, of course, they have competition. What's the new one called? Silhouette? No.
Yeah.
Is it Silhouette? There's a new one.
That's another cutter.
Cameo? What's the new? There's a new company that has almost exactly the same stuff.
Right, yeah. We'll find it out. We'll get there.
Anyway, so when we were trying to, when we would get into that, or when we got into film, or when we got into, whatever.
Yeah.
This is
Keep talking. I'm just going to move
insanity.
this camera stuff out of the way so the dogs don't knock it over.
Can we put up a barrier to the door? Because they've been on the show enough today, I think. Go on, get.
Yeah, go on now.
Thank you. They're going to be back. There they are. So this is the 3 o'clock Zoomie. So if you're thinking about getting a beagle, first of all, don't get one. Get 2. One beagle on its own, nightmare. It is. But when you have 2, they play together, and they play with beagle energy. So you still have to walk them, all that stuff. But when they have another dog to play with,
it works out some of the
because one beagle
energy
will chew up your entire house. You won't have a couch anymore. They'll chew up everything. So where was I?
You were talking about making stuff and
having all the stuff before you even start. So
yeah.
what I'm trying to do with this podcast, and I feel like this is the right time for us to be doing this. I feel like it's a good thing, not just because the car. I feel like we've been kind of bouncing the idea around for quite some time, just to do a podcast again and make it not necessarily just focused on music, which we did with the last podcast, but we do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And trying to narrow that down and saying, you'll be successful if you, niche down. And I've got this other person that I follow on Instagram who I love. Her name is Amy McNee. And she did like a Zoom, what do you call it? Like a seminar over the summer. And she talked a lot about you don't need to niche down. It's okay to be an artist who does all kinds of different things. And I don't know, start a Facebook page for different things, or start an Instagram feed for whatever. Go on TikTok, whatever.
It's hard to imagine trying to make decide on one thing and just do that one thing. It
scares me. It scares me to think of one thing, because I don't know that I'm good enough at any of it to really make a living at any of it. So, and then in different seasons, there's sometimes I want to do certain things during the summer when the weather's warm, and then in the winter when the days are so short, and sometimes they're just an hour long of daylight.
Seems like it.
Yeah. Those are days that I don't necessarily want to be doing the same things that I do in the summertime when we're, doing a lot of festivals and playing a lot of music. But then there's not a lot of time for, there's just not enough time to do all the things every single day. So I do, and I figured out the other day when we released the podcast, I put something on all the Instagram pages. So the one where my little Christmas elf character, she had a video on there. We did a promo video on there. We did one on the one for Vicky Morgan Author. We did one on Mulberry Creek's music page. And it reached more people. It's not like I'm flooding everybody with bombarding people with messages, but it was like, these are all the things.
As much as it feels like everybody's probably getting sick of it, they're not. They're like, mostly everybody might be seeing it once or twice.
Yeah.
And then nobody's like, oh, I can't believe I'm hearing about this again. They're That's social media.
From a marketing perspective, people it doesn't actually get in till they've seen it between 6 and 10 times. So if you post something on your Facebook page or on whatever platform you're on, if you text somebody, it doesn't actually get in that you're doing a thing. That they might want to participate in. Maybe they'd want to know. And for the people who would be frustrated that you're posting, and I'm going to rewind this part of the podcast back a lot and say it to myself over and over. They're not your people, but there's a whole world out there of people who are they're manifesting you and what you have to say, believe it or not. And that's hard to take in sometimes, but there are people out there who are going to benefit so much from what your experiences are and what you're going to share. And maybe it's 4 years later. Like, what if someone had been recording a podcast 4 years ago and was like, well, I didn't get the attention of Vicky Morgan up in Newfoundland. I guess I should quit. That's ridiculous. I know. But like,
you never know.
But I'm discovering it now because it's still available. It's still out there. Somebody created something that didn't exist before. And now I'm discovering it when I need it, which is isn't that the height of manifesting? We're all moving apart. We're all moving around in different worlds and different, your timeline is different from my timeline. I'm coming to something at my age when, sometimes I feel like I should have started when I was 20, but I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 20.
I don't think anybody does. I think it's very rare for people to know what they want to do and be sure and be right.
I found it funny when there were like American Idol was like, I just watched Kelly Clarkson showed up on my feed today and it was like, she knew what she wanted to do and it was just like my dream come true. And we see that a lot on talent shows. We're like, this is my dream to be on America's Got Talent or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty rare.
There's Canada's Got Talent and all those shows. Yeah. And it's like, this is my dream. Like, really, at 17? This is your dream? Like, you haven't even started yet. And that's not to say that you can't know what you want, because I know there are people that do, but I wasn't one of those people. Rare. Yeah.
So I think it's actually more normal for people like us to be like in their 30s or 40s, but like, I'm just trying a new thing.
Early 30s.
Early 30s. 30s.
But something that I'm also finding a lot of fun too is that having kids who are paying attention to the little hobbies, little things that we do that, they're kind of paying attention to what we're doing and they get to pick and choose. And so because we're, teachers by trade, but certainly not by profession, we've got a pretty good idea of how to start out and it should be fun. Everything should be fun. But anything I feel like that you're creating, creativity is great. Like that's that's like, if I could go into a mental institution as a visitor, and get into those, if I could recommend anything for people who are going through a tough time, is if you can get your hands on something creative, make something like
write or draw or paint or record or play or whatever.
Something that made me absolutely crazy when I was working in office building, like in office settings, was you'd come in and there'd be a stack of paper on the left side of your desk, and you'd spend your entire day moving that pile of paper over to a different side of the desk. Like, this has been processed, and like, I hated it. That's rough. Now, like when I go in and I have a bunch of balls of yarn, and it turns into a sweater, and maybe it's a sweater I'll never ever wear, but it's keeping my hands busy, which goes back to
making something new and different.
Keeping stuff busy in your hands. It goes back to like ancient times when there was like monasteries and nuns, like early nuns would. That's why the rosary beads were invented. Did you know that? That's why,
I because reading something about that.
Having something pass through your hands is actually very comforting, and the sensation of it is. That's why rosary beads were invented. That's not an endorsement of any religion at all. I'm just saying.
Just a thing.
This is stuff that people have known for many, many, many years. That keeping your hands busy, keeping your mind busy, creating things. Music is also a thing that has a whole realm of. It's a whole other language, and it transcends. Is that the right word? It definitely taps into a different part of your psyche when you do music. Even if someone has told you in the past that you don't know that you can't sing, a whole lot of real successful musicians out there that were told they couldn't sing.
Yeah.
So, and same thing, like writing, I find that too. And I feel like I have this brain full of like, should I do videos and should I do tutorials and how am I going to share this? And I've tried teaching workshops and I've tried a lot of different things. And so what we kind of settled on for 2024, this is November, but this is going to come out in a couple of days, is it's everything. You don't have to do any one thing. You can do all the things. And starting out before you have a perfect plan or before you have every single tool that's needed. So what I've been doing a lot of research on is I'm listening to the gurus and I'm listening to the things that show up my Instagram feed and the videos that come up in my YouTube feed and all that stuff. You can learn as you go. and you can just get started. And if you need to change a logo down the road, or you change the format of your show, or maybe it's you don't have to set yourself in stone, and you can change your mind about things. So when we moved back to Newfoundland, as an example, we moved back to Newfoundland 6 years ago, and I wrote an article for the Canadian Broadcasting Company, which is a Crown corporation. Yeah. But I wrote about how I'd moved back to Newfoundland, and I was really, really happy to be near my family and around all the people that I'd grown up with and I had been missing when we were away for so many years. And in that article, I said, in black and white, but I mean, you could change the color of your screen, I guess, because it wasn't really ever in a print. It was, I'm never leaving here ever again. I'll starve here. I'd rather starve here than be anywhere else. Those are really big words for somebody that's just moved home. Very happy to be back in Newfoundland and all, missing all the things. And then we've been here for 6 years, and I feel like really trapped, committed. Like I said, I was never going to leave again. And it's like, that's kind of unfair because you're from North Carolina. Our kids have family all over.
Yep.
And so,
They're
I mean, I think
Maine.
I would like to have a home base here. But, as far as like feeling like I have to stay here because I said that on an article, is like, that's ridiculous. That's, I said I want, and we've had lots of dreams over the years. I wanted to see my name on the back of a book, on the spine of a book, and like, okay, so what now?
What's
happening next? I wish we had an album like we did that.
Got one of those.
So So does that mean we need to commit to being musicians and comedy? I tried comedy this summer, and I absolutely love it. But it's like, so what's next? Is it more comedy shows? Like, no, I think it's a podcast. Because the days are short. We don't have a car to get to the gigs. I mean, that's an excuse. I know I'm not fully committed, but I'm also 47. Right? Like, I've committed to lots of stuff, and I've got a body of work out there that, people want to find me.
And we'll do it if it feels good.
I'm easy to find, really. And I've got kids. And so I'm going to do whatever. So does that mean that I'm going to die in obscurity one of these days? Yeah, probably. That's okay. But my kids will be happy. They'll be well fed. They'll know how to do a whole bunch of stuff, and they can pick and choose what they want to do. But for me, right. I don't know that I'm ever going to commit to one thing and just be that thing, because I honestly don't know if any one thing I would be good enough at. But if to call myself an artist, a multidisciplinary artist, like, I'm okay with that. I'd be okay if people called me funny.
Lots of people do. Certain
environments, it's like, if I'm trying to be serious, I don't want them to call me funny. And when I'm trying to be funny, I don't want them to say, she's real smart. I don't, like, you know what I mean? Like, you pick your place, right? And of course, you can't tell people what to think of you. It's not, and it's none of my business what people think. But what I do know is that, based on the feedback we've gotten on pretty much every project we've done, I know there are probably people listening who are like, how did they do that?
Yeah.
And if we can do it, I think you're pretty smart, but, It doesn't take any extraordinary intelligence to do any of the stuff that we do. It really is research. It's YouTube videos. It's DIY. It's let's build that. Let's try it. Like right behind me, there's a sound booth. So we did our audiobooks with a sound booth, and it would cost us like $35 to build a bin, basically a Tupperware container with soundproof foam around it, and it's like a portable little. Cost us $30 or $35, and time. It took some time and some prototypes that didn't work and those sorts of things, but we just do research.
So we're going to talk more on this podcast. I'm hearing from you right now, I think, about how we're doing stuff.
I don't know if that's what people want to hear. I'm just kind of trusting it and whatever. Like, we came down with notes today.
Just our journey.
Well, because we're starting out early in a journey, like, I know it has to sound good, so I know there's some pressure to make sure that there's no extra sound in the room, which we're definitely not nailing.
We're not nailing that tonight
in this episode. Right. I don't know how much of that you're going to be able to hear. That's one of our offspring poking in. I think they're getting hungry. But I will say that from the research that I've figured out, you can do a podcast for free on Spotify. So this is the zero budget. Okay. Yes, you can record on your phone. I don't advise it. It's not. You're not going to have to control over the sound that you need. But but again, that's what you're going to grow into. So if you start off on your phone, at least you did it.
There's also, I will say, there's a website that I found recently called AudioMass. It's audiomass.co, where it's an online audio editor. So it's basically like Adobe Audition or Audacity, where it's just an audio. You can put an MP3 in there or a WAV file and edit it. So like if you're doing something on your phone, there's a free audio editor online that you can just go to the website and edit your audio.
Isn't there also something in Spotify for podcasters where you can record right into the software?
Yeah, there's a I haven't tried that. I'd be wary of uploading audio directly to a website because it seems like it'd be glitchy like Zoom.
I think you press record and it takes it in.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you can edit it, but it will research that.
Maybe we'll try it, yeah.
It'd be kind of fun to do an episode like that.
Yeah.
So there are people that, like, there's a spectrum, right? There's someone that's recording into their phone and saying, here's my podcast. And it kind of doesn't matter if you have something important to share.
Yeah,
people
the content
will forgive
a
lot of sound quality. And same with video quality, it's the same thing. And that's going back to film school. Like, people will forgive a lot as long as what you're saying is, is helpful to them. And then the other end of the spectrum is somebody that has a full recording studio and is going to talk about kilohertz and frequencies and plosions.
Nitty gritty.
Yeah. And you can learn all that. None of that is beyond.
Or pay somebody else to do it if you want.
Or you can pay somebody else to do it. And that's something else that we've been asked to do. We have produced a lot of stuff for other people. And it's kind of heartbreaking sometimes that we're like processing or producing something for people, for someone else. And it's like, why aren't we doing this for ourselves? Like that kind of breaks my heart a little bit to be doing it. So we're still available to do stuff for other people, but I feel like we're
in creative mode right now.
I feel like we're taking a big step in the right direction, the right direction for me, especially because this makes me happy. Like I love being able to come out of the basement, and the little adventures we're sharing along the way. Like I don't want to overshare. Like I don't talk about our homeschooling journey, or there's a whole bunch of stuff that, like some of it might sneak into a comedy set or a song or something. But I'm fairly private. But I also have this whole other 95% of my life that I don't mind sharing.
Yeah.
And sometimes if it's helpful along the way. So I think we set out to do a funny podcast. I don't know if this one was funny. But
it was fun.
It was
the
fun.
Dogs were
crazy. The dogs
crazy.
were hilarious. So just in case you're still going, will you just get to the point? So you can host a podcast on Spotify. And so there's a couple of different things. You imagine, like, this is going back to my days of Linda Walsh teaching me Microsoft Word. So there's a document. Okay. That's the smallest element, the smallest file that you can have is basically a piece of paper. If you can imagine, it's a piece of paper. So, and then you name that. You put a name on it so that if it gets lost, you can identify what the thing is. And then the next level is a filing cabinet. And so it's file folders that you put your documents in, and beyond the file folders, you're in the filing cabinet. So that's like your hard drives and your C drive and your E drive and so those are visually, I need to have something like that to hang on to. So your podcast, you record your podcast, it needs to be recorded. It needs to be captured. That's your document. Let's call it a document. And then it needs to be put somewhere so that when somebody goes to find it and play it, it'll be hosted somewhere so that you can access it. So the beautiful thing about a couple of different things. So when we started our podcast 3 or 4 years ago, it was costing us money. We were hosting on, I think, like something with a Blueberry.
Blueberry and there was another one.
Podbean or no?
No. Anyway, we had a couple of paid sites.
There was a couple of paid sites. So there was a couple of problems with those things that I found along the way. And this is from a lot of research. These websites, if you decide to go with a different provider and maybe you can't afford the fee every month or something, you cannot use those. You can't put them somewhere else. You have to start over. So all the viewers that you found, all the listeners, all the ratings, all those stuff, you can't carry it with you. You have to stay with that. It's kind of like when somebody freezes stem cells. Like it's a great idea, or they'll freeze like stuff from when you have a brand new baby. They'll freeze your cells, right? But you have to keep paying for it. And if you stop paying for it, they throw it away.
Where's it going?
So that was a problem I had with podcasting before. And the things that have changed over the last few years is that Spotify for Podcasters is a free hosting site. And I think there's a limit to how many you can put on, but it's not anything near, like, if you do one a week, you'll be fine. And then there's the unlimited platform of YouTube, which is where most people are consuming. You want to learn how to glue something back to, we fixed a pop-up camper one time from a YouTube video, and it was just some dude, some old skipper in his backyard that showed how to do it using toilet paper rolls. That
was his scaled down model.
That was his scale. And I mean, did it work? Did we end up with a camper that we got for next to nothing and fixed it and used it for a while? It was awesome.
Yeah.
But YouTube and Spotify for Podcasters, again, not an endorsement, not sponsors, just information. what I've discovered, what I found out is that Spotify for Podcasters also provides the filing cabinet. You can host from Spotify. You don't have to pay for Spotify. You don't have to pay for the hosting. So again, your audio file is your document. You've recorded the show. You've done whatever. You've had your wonderful guests on. You've given life-saving information or life-changing information. It's beautiful. The world wants to hear it. There's a whole audience out there waiting to hear what you have to say. And you need a filing cabinet to put it in. So you can pay hosts, but there is now a free option. There's Spotify for Podcasters, and it's you can even record right into that software. Or you can put it on YouTube podcasts, which is a whole other genre. It's not YouTube Music. It's not YouTube, the regular one. It's YouTube for podcasters. And you can do just audio on there and just have a static picture that stays on the screen, because a lot of people will turn it on while they're driving or while they're doing the dishes or whatever they're doing around the house. YouTube is the free way to do it. The next level of that, is that too much? Have I lulled you to sleep?
YouTube.
Okay, so the next level is all the information coming from Jenna Kutcher is that there should be marketing behind your podcast, because how will people find it? And so maybe we should leave that till next week.
Yeah, we can talk about
the
marketing
next week, because I have done a whole bunch of... I looked into that a lot. And of course, if you don't have anything to sell, it's not an issue if you just want to be a podcaster. But I will say that the amount of entrepreneurs who would benefit from having a podcast is astounding. Like any small business whatsoever, whether you're helping people plan end-of-life ceremonies or tributes, or how to plan for those financial burdens at the end of your life, or if you're worried, if you're trying to figure out how to take care of bees, or if you're doing
people love
hearing
how stuff works.
Like if that's your business, if your business is making dog bandanas, like, do you want to talk about how you make the dog bandanas? I don't know. But if you have a podcast and people get to know you, they're more likely to buy the stuff that you make.
Yep.
And that's like, what do you call it? Not empirical, but that's like, what's that word? Facts?
It's a fact.
I mean, it's probably a bunch of people's opinions, but podcasting is still like the best way. Blogging exploded years ago, and everybody had a blog, and it got lost in the mess. But podcasting is still fairly new. Unless you're seeing a lot of podcasts in your social media feeds, which also tells me that you like podcasts. And it might be the universe going, tap, tap, tap. Here's some information about podcasting. Maybe you're a person. Because not everybody is getting a bunch of podcasts in their news feeds, believe it or not. So not everybody is getting the stuff that I get in my feed. Like I'm getting a lot of yarn, a lot of crochet tips, a lot of, believe it or not, a lot of videos that show up in my feed are about starting a YouTube channel over the age of 40 or 50 or 60. I saw one the other day, over 70.
It's like they know. I mean,
there's an algorithm, and I don't know if it's predictive, and they can tell by, well, she was looking up this, and this is probably the next thing she's going to do, or if it's based on some of my internet searches. I don't know, but I know the algorithm does serve in a big way. Like all these things that are listening to us, it does serve a bigger, better purpose, in that the information you're getting is probably stuff that's related to what you're already interested in. Yeah. And so maybe next week we'll have some more. Hopefully it'll be a little less chaotic. We'll decorate a little bit better than this for the next one. And
we'll wait till the dogs go to sleep for the night, and then come down here, sneak down here, and do a podcast.
Maybe so, or just a little early. I don't know. This was great. I had good. We will put the links to. I think we should share the Uber code, the friend code, and the and you know where that came from. It was Jenna Kutcher. Yeah. She said when she first started her podcast, she accidentally shared her friend code for HelloFresh and ended up with like free HelloFresh for a year, because there was all these, there's rewards for the person using it, the person. And so no pressure, whatever. We'll put the links to the books. Those are ways that, we're going to figure this out. We're going to iron out the details, because where we are right now is, I don't know what I do for a living. I have no idea. The money shows up. We're doing this
right now?
It shows, the money has been showing up, and like, okay, so if someone were to ask me a question like, what do you do for a living? Like, I have no idea. I make stuff. And sometimes when I share things online, people will say, hey, do you know how to do this thing? And it's like, yeah, I'll try it. And I don't know. That's not really a structure. Like, I need a little more structure than that.
Yeah, well.
So I'm figuring that the podcast might be a way that we support ourselves. And maybe it's offering workshops to other people who want to learn podcasting, or maybe it's free podcasts where we say, hey, here's what we're learning. And maybe they go, I don't know.
And I will suggest that if anybody is listening this far in, we're an hour and 15 minutes in. So thanks for hanging in there. But if you have any questions,
send us your comments.
Send us your comments. Comment on Spotify, comment on YouTube, comment on Facebook, Instagram. We're all over the place.
Let us know.
Let us know. We'll read your comments and we'll
get you some answers if we have them.
Yeah.
This is what I tell the kids. If I don't have an answer, we'll go find out what the answer is, and
maybe we'll post. Maybe we'll put a post up on our socials. Like, what do you want to know about podcast marketing?
Yeah, what's that? Ask Me Anything to kids.
It's an Ask Me Anything podcast.
Is it? And again, it's only the second episode, so we're figuring this out as we go along.
Yeah.
And I'm learning from the absolute master, I think, of podcasting.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Sure. Okay. But I'm learning, and believe it or not, if anything else, even if you don't want to listen to this one going forward, that's okay. But if I can give you one thing that you take away, is go listen to Nate Land.
If you're gonna stop listening to us for another podcast, go to the Nate Land podcast.
But if you can fit it in, listen to us too. But seriously, like if you want some advice about taking life not too seriously and also succeeding and being a good guy, I'm only early on, so maybe there's a scandal down the road.
It might get real bad.
It might get, but I don't think so. I really don't think so. But I find like the life advice coming from somebody who has put in the time and loves what he's doing and is sharing it. This is a person who I've seen. This is probably why it showed up in my feed so many times and why I've been brought to this podcast so many times, is that he promotes other people. And I saw him on like a talk show, and he was talking about all these major broadcasters where you have to go in and pour your guts out and beg for time on a broadcaster. And that's just not the way of the world anymore. TV broadcasters and even radio stations have gone by the wayside. People don't consume radio shows and TV shows anymore the way they used to. So now it's like the Netflix where you binge watch. But there's also this, if you're on a smart TV, like we've got a Roku, right next to Netflix is YouTube. Yep. Where anybody can broadcast. And so what I've been noticing is that Nate promotes a whole lot of other comedians who are coming up through, and he's doing what I think he probably wishes, I'm speaking for him, but I think he's doing what he wishes was available 20 years ago. And it just is, he's staying with the times, but he's reaching back and helping other people, which I just think is so amazing. So I mean that very sincerely. Like if you're looking for a pick me up, start listening to the first episode, because I'm loving it.
But also keep listening to our podcast.
Of course.
Share it with your friends.
And looking forward to the Christmas season and stuff. Like I got 200 episodes. I'll be fine. It's fine. If we don't get invited to dinner, it's okay. We can't even get a car over, but we could host. We could host at our house. We could have a big Christmas dinner here, maybe.
That's true.
Maybe that's the thing. If you don't see it in the world, maybe make it.
So if anybody wants to come over here for Christmas,
how many people are? So I'm going to go back to it again. How many people are out there feeling like, man, I don't have any invitations for Christmas this year? And it might be because I'm not actively, engaging, because we couldn't drive there anyway, but we could get Ubers. That's true, I wonder how many people are out there feeling so bad right now because Christmas is on the horizon, and like we've had friends this year who've had kids die. We've had friends who have broken up with spouses after many, many years. We've had like terrible diagnosis. We've lost so many people this year. We've been to so many funerals. How many people are facing a horrible, horrible experience coming up on this Christmas? And here I am complaining because I didn't get out of your own way, right? Like invite somebody else over. See if somebody else, this was literally the last thing I wanted to do right now is record it, because what do I have to offer? And it's like, you know what? Somebody out there probably feels the same way, and that's whatever. Like, if you can help somebody else feel like they're a little bit less alone because they're here in your, like, this feels like there's a space right here on the other side of this table for somebody to sit down and talk to us.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of podcasts, is that it's like you're kind of sitting in somebody's living room, just having a chat with Vicky and Josh. We're pretty fun, right?
We're fun. We're fun people.
We are.
I
think you're very fun.
Professional.
And you are what did I say earlier about the guru of you're the guru. You're my guru.
I know you weren't talking about me. It's okay.
But I don't mean to jump over and go, yeah, because you're fantastic. And I'm having a good time, and I'm looking forward to
a great time with you.
I'm looking forward to our 18th Christmas together. That was something. I will say that there might be one person out there who's kind of waiting out this relationship, who thinks it isn't going to work out and is just hanging on, waiting, and that's probably, I know there's at least one person that would probably call you at Christmas if I wasn't around. So sorry about that to the person. You know who you are. But, 18 years in, we're still doing pretty good.
Hanging in there.
Looks good for the foreseeable future. Mm-hmm. So, maybe we could just find a way to move on and maybe sit down and have a meal together. Like I just saw on Facebook just before I came downstairs, there's a band getting back together. playing a show coming up in
Nice.
December that, I mean, I never believed for a second that they were ever going to be in the same room, and they managed to do it. So if there's a Christmas miracle, if that's a thing, if that's a possible thing, it is this band, and I'll tell you about that off the air
It's a
because I don't want to.
Festivus miracle.
I don't want to overshare anybody else's story, but it's pretty beautiful, and they are people that I never dreamed would ever pick up an instrument together again. So there's hope.
Wow.
There's hope, and all this list that I have here, I want to send some good energy out into the world, and it's all. None of us is getting any younger, and there's lots of laughs left to have, and lots of good food to eat, and there's a whole lot of people staring down that barrel this Christmas that might be their last because the different health diagnoses and different things or missing people that aren't going to be around this year that they've already lost, and there's a whole lot of sadness, and I think that kind of gets into my bones sometimes. I think that's why I feel so sooky sometimes, is that I just absorb so much sadness, and it's like, you know what? Pick yourself up. There's people that got it worse. Look at all the stuff that you have to be grateful for, and it kind of does. Watch a few Christmas movies, let a few tears out, because tears. I'm rambling. This is what I do. The previous endeavors have gone exactly this way, where I just ramble for a long time. I go on a rant, and Josh goes,
I'm just listening and loving it. That's all.
Where was I going with that? I just went blank.
Tears, they're cleansing.
Tears are cleansing. Do you know that? Do you know that there were actually toxins released that are in your body, and tears actually release? I had a therapist back when I was 19 or so who said tears are cleansing, and I was like, you're a wacko. And this was back before you could look stuff like that up. But the toxins, what's released in your body, and not just what comes out, but the endorphins that are released in your body to have that release. So watch a sad movie. Even though it seems like, oh, I couldn't possibly.
Have a good cry.
People say that.
That's the thing.
Even if you're a dude, it's okay for dudes to cry. Like, it really, because dudes got feelings too, believe it or not. And living in a house with all boys, it's okay for dudes to cry, man. Like, it makes the whole thing work a whole lot better when people actually have feelings and actually talk about them and actually express emotions. Now, I'm not saying Josh has ever cried or my children. They're manly men.
No, that's not. But that's not.
I think as you get older, you start to really appreciate the stuff that's around you. And it's not even December yet, and I'm already, sad and whatever.
Tis the season.
It is the season, and I can't wait to turn on some. What are you going to watch? What are we watching later on tonight? What's your first Christmas movie?
Are we going to watch a Christmas movie tonight?
I think we should. Don't you?
I think we got to start with The Grinch.
Oh, nice.
The cartoon, the original.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I think that's a good start.
Isn't it crazy that those old movies, The Grinch and Rudolph, and those old Christmas movies are like 28 minutes? You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
Or like short, like
yeah.
TV
but
specials.
not 22 minutes. They didn't have a bunch of commercials, right? But we sat at McDonald's tonight, and the kids sat down at this table, and they looked over at me, and one of them goes, Mom, this is a table where we sat with this person, and they had a fight, and they don't talk anymore, whatever. And so I took a big deep breath, and I looked back at him, and I said, and guess what? This is also the table where we went out, and our car was broke down, and we went over and got a bus, and we got our first Uber, and we went to Denny's, and now we're sitting at McDonald's having ice cream. So this is where we had our really nice adventure tonight, too. So we're making new memories at this table. And they were like,
all right.
They were like, all right, Mom finally snapped.
All right,
we should be checking on her. But for real, like, it's new memories. Traditions are the thieves of joy. Yeah. Because traditions are too hard to carry on. People die. People move on. People have different lives.
And you feel like if you can't do it, it's just ruined.
That pressure of getting it perfect makes stuff so hard to actually enjoy the moment. Because you don't know yet what's going to be fun. And you don't know what kind of miracles can happen. And this is so much further beyond how I felt earlier today.
That's good.
But this is it. I know there are people out there who are suffering. And, who the hell am I to complain, right? We're so lucky. Yep. We're so lucky. And, maybe even though I feel like we don't have a lot, maybe we've got enough to reach out to somebody and share what we have, because I'm sure there's somebody with a whole lot less. That the person that lost their mermaid. I mean,
I'm gonna find that mermaid.
If I had, we should find that. Okay.
This just became a detective podcast.
Maybe it's a true crime podcast.
True crime.
If you see the mermaid around, I want you to call Crime Stoppers. I mean,
or comment on our
maybe
Spotify.
It's already been on the
comment on this podcast.
Maybe it's already on the boat off the island. I don't know. But if you're on a ferry right now leaving Newfoundland and there's a unicorn or a mermaid, next to you in a trailer, it's probably not that they probably took it. So
decoration trafficking.
Call in. If you see something, say something. That goes for the more, like, you know.
All right, I'm turning these lights back on for the end of the podcast. For those of you that aren't watching online.
Oh, if you could be here right now, if you could see this.
It's beginning to look, it's like the holidays. It's
if you could see this,
Christmas
this is
Eve
so
right now.
great. Oh my God, it's so impressive.
All right, that's enough for tonight.
Okay, so so check out the description for links to all the gear that we use, the stuff you can, I hate doing that. I don't like doing that. Gotta tell you. Feels a little hacky to say we're putting links in the description. Well, we will, but I don't like it. But it's going
to go a lot better when people start buying all that stuff. And
it'll keep us off the streets. Does that help?
Leave comments. Let us know if you have any questions for us or comments or anything.
Yeah, and keep it going. We're going to be back again next Wednesday for another episode. And if you'll hang in there, we'll hang in there. And that's the deal we'll make with you. So you hang in there, and we're in this together. We really are. So we'll see you next week.
Have a good week.
Morgan.
I'm Josh Morgan.
See you later.
See you, folks.